everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Reaction Therapy. I'm your resident psychotherapist, Tom Stevens, here to break down, well, nope, I'm not here to break down lyrics to some awesome music. I'm here to look at the story of Ross Capicchioni, the song from Joyner Lucas, where it's the actual guy telling the behind-the-scenes story of what happened. I was so fascinated with this song that I thought I need to see the background of this story. And a lot of you have told me I need to go check this out because I want to dive deeper into what actually happened here and what the mental health. I felt like this guy was going to die legit, the way he was beaten, shot, and all that stuff. Man, and left for dead. And look, here we go. We've got it. I can't wait. You know our purpose, spread mental health awareness to the world through music and lyrics, and also through podcasts and through interviews and stuff like this. So here we go. It's like a documentary of sorts. It's titled The Skateboarder's Unbelievable Survival Story, Ross Capicchioni. Without further ado, got to tell you, but if you want more content just like this, go to our new podcast channel, the Reaction Therapy Podcast. That's where you want to subscribe. And also check out Patreon or YouTube because stuff is there as well.
All right, we're ready. Go ahead whenever you're ready.
All right, my name is Ross Capicchioni. I'm from Macomb, Michigan, suburb outside of Detroit.
Start with your story of
How it happened?
Yeah.
Well, it happened like I was a junior in high school, 17-year-old punk shit. Just doing my thing, skating, hanging out.
What I mean is basically there's no...
This kid supposedly was supposed to be my friend, and I knew this kid for 10 years prior before this day. He asked me, hey, can you give me a ride to my cousin's house, down in the D? All right, yeah, well, like what part? Like the west side or the east side? And he's like, the east side. And I was like, nah, man, I don't got...
He's like, no, I mean, I give you a ride to the D, but I ain't going east side. I don't know what it is, but he's like, no. I mean, Ross seems like he skateboard, he hang out with the people, like he seemed like a regular guy. And he knew that. I didn't realize he knew this guy for 10 years prior, y'all.
No business on the east side, He's like, no, it's cool, man. Like the east side, that's like 7 Mile, like it's like a third world country. The police, they won't stop and get out the car. They won't pull you over. If there's gunshots, they'll wait till everything's clear and they'll come pick your body up off the street and that's it. He's like, please, man, please. I'm like, no. So like a week goes by, I'm still telling him no, because I had a feeling, don't go down there. Kept asking me, I'll give you 30 bucks for gas, all this shit. I'm like, all right, whatever, you're my friend. I'll take you down there. I go to school that day, and I get out, and everything seems normal. We go to the gas station, he gives me the money for gas. We drive down there. So I get off, and it's just like, I get that eerie feeling like you're in a bad spot. But it's like broad daylight out, beautiful day like that today.
Pay attention to that, y'all. Whenever you get that eerie feeling, there's something not right, man. Keep driving, turn that car around, do whatever you got to do. But you have to pay attention to when things don't feel right. And please remember, like my wife says, life is a series of choices over time. And sometimes you have a situation like this that leads from one thing to another thing, and something about him right away knew. That's the cool part of his gut instinct. Something's not right here, but he just kept pestering and pestering. That guy just finally broke through like, okay, fine. But man, for me to be able to talk to Ross one day, I would love to hear this story firsthand and ask him some other questions because this is fascinating. He's detail by detail of this.
And we're driving and he's telling me where to go and we pull onto the street and there's people outside and he's like, all right, that's the house right there. So he's like, pull around back in the back. Like when I turned the corner to go right, like I seen it was like caution, like do not enter and all this shit, but I still, because I knew him for so long, I just thought, it's the D, it's, whatever. There was a fence, like a grass area, my vehicle, and then houses right there. So it was like, I wasn't in the middle of nowhere or anything. And like I get out, and he gets out, and like it's only a couple seconds, I'm looking around. My ears are ringing, I'm like, man, that was close. And I kind of just glanced down, and my arm's just hanging off. Just hanging off like a zombie, and I'm just looking at it. I'm like, yeah, this is, it's not real. And I kind of shake it off and look.
In total shock there, like to have your arm blown off and to not feel it. In total shock that that's even happened, and even didn't even really feel it at that point. But I really wonder two things. Number one, as he's telling this story, Does he have any physical reaction inside his body? Like when I heard that pop, I wonder if when he's describing it, he still triggers to that moment. And secondly, I'm wondering if he went back to that place at all since, and what it felt like to be in that same area, if he's ever gone back there again.
Yeah, this is, it's not real. And I kind of shake it off and look again, and it's just hanging off my arm. And I'm like, okay, then it kicks in, like blood, like flowing, like an animal. And then I look up, and this kid's just holding a shotgun, like 10 feet away from me, just holding it right at me. And I asked him, I said, like, did you shoot me? And he just blew a hole in my chest like this big. So after that, I just dropped to my knees. I lost all my air, I couldn't see. I remember like being on my, on my hands and knees, and I felt the barrel of the gun on my head. Felt this barrel just shaking still on my head, and so I smacked it away. But it was a shotgun, so it sprayed. So it still like hit me in the head really good, but it didn't blow my head off like a watermelon, just to pieces. So after that, I got a little sight, and I was like, okay, I'm still moving, like I don't know what's going on.
Cannot believe this. I can't believe he's still moving after this. And I can't believe he had the wherewithal to be able to get that gun at least moved a little bit to where it didn't directly impact him. And he's describing this piece by piece and doing it so normally here. But wow, 2 shots, arm, chest, head, and he's still functioning.
Going on with my head, but I know I'm alive. And I remember I looked up, and he was just staring at me. And he took the butt of the gun and like smashed me in the face with it. Knocks my teeth out. Like I fall back, but I could still see at this point, and I don't understand like how I can see because I have so much damage to like my lung and heart. I felt like these hands like in my pocket digging for my car keys. Like, when he's trying to grab my keys, like I ended up on my stomach. And I look up and I see my Jeep Commander driving away, just driving away, flying away. And I said, okay, well, either I stay laid down in this spot right here and die, or I try to get up. So I try to push myself up, but like take my left arm, take it right out. So gunshot to the chest bigger than a soup bowl, and then my head all mashed up. And I'm trying to push myself off the ground. Kept trying, and I'm like, all right, you know what, one more. I'm gonna try it one more time. And I pushed up, and then out of nowhere, I felt these arms from underneath me pick me up. And I remember like swinging, trying to grab someone, and there was no one around. And I was just like standing up still, like a drunk, zombie, just like. And I got this like a shove, like someone shoved me from behind to go forward. I must have got about 7, 8 feet. I just fell straight down. Because I remember I hit the ground like on my stomach. I'm like, all right, well, I went as far as I could. This shit's hurt.
So there wasn't actually a person there lifting him. It was like a force and energy that just like helped get him up. Like the willpower of Ross to be able to want to survive is incredible here. The will to get himself moving as far as he can, as long as he can, until he can't anymore. Oh, I'm just admire his tenacity and his undying like efforts. He just was not giving up on this, and it's incredible.
Like too much. Like let me just close my eyes and start relaxing. Sure enough, I'd close my eyes and all the pain started going away. And then I'd wake up real fast and be like, this is not right. I just got shot 30 seconds ago. How's the pain stopping? And I'd be like, don't worry about it. Go back to sleep. That's a good feeling when you're sleeping. So I'd pass back out a little bit, and then I'd be like dying. And then I'd wake myself up, like my own voice, third person. And, hey man, get up, man, you're dying. And then like, I did that, and then I heard, hey, hey, and I like started hearing this guy, and he's like running over to me. So when I fell, there was like a probation officer at a stoplight, and he seen me fall out of the woods, like all bloody broad daylight. And then I felt his hand on my back, like, hey man, you're fine, don't close your eyes, come on, the ambulance is coming, they're coming. And I'm like, man, like I just want to sleep, leave me alone, man. But then in my head, I'm like, no, you don't, because if you fall asleep, you're sleeping forever. And I remember like getting on the stretcher, and they're putting me in the stretcher, and just like the facial expression of the paramedic was just like, just a stunned look on his face, but in the same time telling me I looked great. I looked beautiful, like you're gonna be fine. And then it just like blacked out, and I went to like like I was outside of the ambulance on my skateboard, filming it, like rolling telephoto filming of the ambulance, and the doors open, everyone's panicking, and I see my legs coming out, and like once it gets to my head, blacked out. I was pronounced dead on arrival right there. John Doe, had nothing on me. They said, you know, Doc, this kid's, you know, gone, and Doc said, no. You know, I'm here, let me try. Like when I was pronounced dead on arrival, like throw him in the body bag, he's dead. Like the doctor said no, like, you know, I'm gonna try to help him. This man doesn't know who I am. He could have said, yeah, he's dead, all right, I'm going back home. He said no, like I feel something, I'm gonna try.
Everything's going his way, not in a good way, but at least it was some force lifting him up to help him move forward, to get far enough so that a probation officer could see. The timing of the probation officer being right there, calling 911 and helping him stay awake. The doctor that said, nope, I'm not giving up. I'm going to keep working on this guy because I think we got hope here. All of it's clicking, and it's almost impossible to believe.
Did the heart surgery, gave me 24 hours to, you know, see if I was still breathing on the ventilator. After 24 hours, I was still alive. They fixed my arm and my head, and I woke up 3 days later. I remember like waking up and it was still all white, like white everywhere, and I'm like, dead. I'm 17, I'm dead. And then it starts to like come in, and it's like I see curtains, like a freaking oxygen tank, and I'm like starting. And then out of nowhere, bam, perfect vision again. I'm in a hospital, and then I'm like tied down to the bed because I got the breathing tube in me. I got this thing pumping air into my lungs, so I start freaking out. There was a nurse there the whole time though. I didn't even notice her because I was all tied down, and I just hear screaming like, he's awake, he's awake. And I see her like running out of the room, and then like running back, like 3 more nurses and the doctor, just this woman just coming around the corner flying, like throws her clipboard in the air, runs up to me.
Almost like they can't believe he's actually alive, right? They're watching this, just hanging on for hope, like we did everything we possibly could. 3 days later, and he wakes up, and they're all just incredibly pumped that he's actually made it this far and gotten through this. Like a miracle story.
Oh my God, you look beautiful. Like, and in my head, I'm like, what do you mean? I look beautiful. I can't even, what's going on? Like, am I tied down? And then she's like, all right, 1, 2, and like on 2, she pulled that thing out of my throat, man. I got to breathe again, like real air, like, you know, of course I coughed up a ball of tar and BBs, but everyone was just looking at me like, you're alive. Like you're breathing on your own right now. Like, what's your name? I don't know.
What? Like he doesn't even remember. I wonder if he remembered the incident.
What year is it? What? Who's the president? Huh? Is there any way we could contact anyone you know with a phone number? I was like, 2-7.
No way.
Out of anything, my name, anything, the year, only thing I remembered after that was my father's phone number. For 3 days, my family didn't know. My father was outside, like spraying out the garage, and he got the phone call from the hospital saying.
So what did his family think? These questions I want to ask. What were they thinking for 3 days when he wasn't even gone? His car was gone. They report the car stolen, report him missing. Like, what happened?
And I think we got your son. He's been shot, but he's alive. So I don't know how my parents had it. I don't know how that feels. Like, you're a father. Like, so I don't know. It chokes me up because, like,
yeah, you can see him now, emotional. Like he's in the moment now. At that point where, you know, they told his father he's alive, your son's here, and he's feeling the moment here, which is so intense. Oh,
it's crazy, but they came down there, and I remember, like, I seen my mom come in and my dad, and I'm looking at him, I was like, Mom, you can't get mad at me right now. She's like, mad? You're alive, you're alive. After like the 4th day, they were like, all right, get up, you know, start walking, like, let's go. I'm like,
you know, as a mental health professional, I've not seen an injury like this, like that just seems unsurvivable. And his attitude, it makes me want, this is the kind of client I would want in my office. Like, I just want one day to talk to Ross because his personality his sense of humor, I think, plays all into this. Like his ability to be kind of unshakable, unflappable, to get through the moment. His first thing to think to tell his mom is, "You can't get mad at me." Like he must have remembered something that happened. And then, second of all, for him to feel the emotion of what his parents must feel like to know he's alive, and for him to be grateful to be alive, and for him to have the wherewithal to be able to do all the things that he did. An incredible story, incredible guy.
Let's go where? He's like, you're going home tomorrow. I'm like, it's been 5 days. He's like, dude, you're going home. What do you want to live in a hospital? You want to go live your life again? I'm like, sir, I got a hole in my chest the size of a teacup. He's like, listen, Ross, I gave you a tip of advice. You live through this, you're going to be okay. Just go home, live your life. Don't hang out with these kids anymore. Yeah. After 5 days, they sent me home. So like, I'm shy, you know? My parents are asking me questions. My dad's asking me, what are we gonna do about it? And I'm like telling him, like, Dad, I know who did it, you know? The next day, like, out of a movie, like, these men in suits came in. And my dad's like, yeah, can I help you? And they pull out their, you know, badges and FBI, you know. They say the kid's name. And I'm like, yeah, I know him, that's who shot me. He's like, oh, could you identify him through a picture? I was like, of course. Pull out a picture of the kid. I said, that's him right there. He said, Ross, we have him in custody. I said, how? I just woke up like 2 days ago. I just learned how my name again, like how to talk. He's like, the day blank shot you, he called blank and told him. So this kid shoots me and calls his buddy and says, hey, I shot Ross, he's dead. The kid's like, no, you didn't, you're lying. Because imagine another 15-year-old kid saying to a 15-year-old kid, you know? So after they hang up, the kid he told calls the police on him. And he was met by a SWAT team right at his front yard. Got him. And like all I had to do was go to court and testify against him. I went in there, man, in a wheelchair, head still stapled, no teeth, 105 pounds because of all the blood I lost, arm cast, and I sat in front of 40 of his family and him, and he couldn't look me in the eye. He had his head down the whole time, and I had to tell my story like this to everyone.
You can imagine the re-traumatizing of this event. Like how he's holding it together here, I don't know. But having to go back through those events all over again with this guy here who can't look at him, which is pretty telling, and his family, the other family there, all staring at him too, because they're there for that guy. And the graphic nature of what happened here and how he got shot and his injuries, seeing them at the moment, the bravery it takes for him to stand up and tell this story, second of all. Just like the doctor said, stay away from people like that. Don't go near any kind of situations like this. Do the best you can. You are a miracle. Go live life and tell your story. This guy should be a professional speaker. Maybe he is going around touring around the country because it's inspirational.
That was the first one. I had to go back to final sentencing, and that's when I was healed. Like, so I walked back in the courtroom the second time. He comes out in a purple suit, top hat, cane, and sunglasses. This is the kid who shot me at court, smiling. While his family cheers him on, says, like, way to shoot Ross, called me a coward because I was taking the justice route. Like, I didn't lower myself to his standards and go try to kill him. I spoke, and the judge, like, looked at this kid and said, you know, said his name, and he said, yo, Ross, thank you. And the kid just looked at the judge like, what do you mean? He's like, because if you would have killed Ross that day, you would have got life in prison. But since Ross was a warrior and survived, you get a second chance, and you just slammed the gavel on him. He said, go have fun in prison for 35 years. Well, I found out that the cause of the shooting was because he had to join a gang. That was his initiation was kill a random person. He had to pick someone, so he just thought I would be the guy to pick. Yeah, that happened in 2007. Been about 4 years. And I'm telling you, the first two were the hardest. It gets hard, like waking up and knowing like someone tried to like shoot you down. You got to get through that every day. Like seeing people. Like I get on a bus, public.
This is the trauma, right? This is the re-traumatization, the triggering that happens where it stacks on top of each other. He gets on the bus. Remember, sight, sound, smells, everything, touch, whatever brings you back into that moment. Get on a bus, you hear a voice. you see somebody who looks similar, you feel trapped ever in a corner somewhere, it can re-trigger and make you feel like you're right back in that moment again.
The bus, I'm freaking out the whole time. Like, I don't trust anyone on the bus. For a while, my mother had to like take care of me as like how you do an infant, like washing, changing, feeding. Like, I'm 17 years old and I got my mom bathing me. I can't move, I got no hand, I can't talk. I'm all weak. And my dad and mom were like, Ross, like, come on, like the doctors say, like, give it time. And then all my friends like coming to see me, hanging out with me. Like, started getting more positive. One day I woke up and I felt different. Like, I was like, you know what, this is my world. That's what like every time in physical therapy, like I would try to do something, mess up, I'd be like, well, it's like a nollie backside flip. Like, you're gonna mess up until you try it and land it. When I'd mess up, I'd be like, nollie backside flip, and then I'd get it. Like, I'd do something with my hand and like put the thing in, and the doctor would be like, oh yeah, good job, like, you did it. And I'd be like, So I like.
Such a good analogy there with skateboarding, because there's so much failure in skateboarding, right? You keep trying jumps, flips. And so much time just to get that one time where you get it right and you train that muscle. And he's doing the same thing with his own physical therapy and mental therapy. Wonder if he had counseling for it too, though. To have therapy, to be able to go through, this is why we do EMDR. This is why we do trauma therapy and helping people desensitize to the trauma so they're not triggered all the time. But he seems so well here, and he's so well spoken and containing himself. He's got to have had some therapy, right?
I started living my life as like skateboarding. It's been working. I'm very blessed. I see it now. Like, when before I'm like, you know what, like, I'm so unlucky. Like, I went through all this getting shot, and really, like, I look at it now after like maturing and growing up, like, it just gave me a whole new leg up on life and how I can live my life. And it's crazy. Like, it's like makes me happy to be alive, and just like so grateful for everything. Like, I just look at what I got. I don't look at what I don't have. Look at what I have.
What a story. Ross Capicchioni, incredible. Oh, one day to be able to talk to him in person. I look at what I have. I don't look at what I don't have. And great words to live by, to really see, what do you have? You can talk all day about what you don't have, what you're missing. He could talk all day about that. He could live the rest of his life as a victim and being disabled and being stuck and being trapped, or he goes back to life and he's going to get the most out of life. Incredible story, incredible person, and what an incredible recovery. And oh, there are so many more questions I have. If anybody knows him, let me get in touch with him, because I want to be able to hear more about the inspiration and motivation behind who he is and who he's become, because it is phenomenal. Remember, this isn't real therapy, just Tom breaking down an interview to Ross Capicchioni, and I am so pumped to do that. It has made my day. Man, mental health matters, y'all. Mental health matters. Outlook matters. How you see life matters. Leave us your comments, feedback, insight. Let us know what you think. Check our Discord server out. Go to Patreon or YouTube for memberships, because we have tons more content. And please subscribe to the Reaction Therapy podcast channel. Can't wait to see you on the next Reaction Therapy.